Once again, more devastation in NFL survivor pools, as week 5 saw the two highest favorites and two highest in pick popularity both lose. We'll get you ready for week 6 in NFL survivor pools and a major announcement about FFC's coverage in Survivor coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Yeah, Eric, it's amazing how this season has just been such an, crazy for Survivor. If you're still alive, you're probably won your league already by now. Man.
It's incredible. We say every any given Sunday, but Michael, I was pretty confident in the San Francisco 49ers, and I thought, what great analysis last week to show to people they really don't have much future value. So might as well use them now. And, who could have thought that their field goal kicker would get hurt in the middle of the game, which really hurt the Niners down the stretch. And my Seahawks, so disappointing. I only felt more confident closer to that game, Michael. A lot of their defensive guys were back. Malik Neighbors was out. Devin Singletary was out. They got the benefit of a 101-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown, and they still lost.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with you. In both of those games, I was feeling, very, very confident. And fortunately for me, I didn't have them available. And so I went with the Chiefs. Who, took care of business last night, despite that pick that came late in the game as well. Eric, it is truly in any given Sunday league. We just learned today that Jets Robert Saleh is out, which I feel like to some extent is appropriate, although maybe it's the offensive coordinator or even Aaron Rodgers that should be out. Eric, this is why we love watching the NFL.
Yeah, so unpredictable. And we're going to try to predict it again in week 6. So let's take a look at the 5 highest spreads, the spreads we think, not that spreads matter this year, Michael, but the 5 games that we think you should be considering. We have 3 home teams and 2 road teams as favorites. Philadelphia is at home, 8.5-point favorites over Cleveland. Houston is a touchdown favorite at New England. Baltimore, 6.5-point favorites at home versus Washington. Atlanta on the road, 6-point favorites at Carolina. And Green Bay at home, 5 points over Arizona. Let's take these one at a time. Let's go at the top of the list. The Philadelphia Eagles. Look, they are fresh. They're going to be coming off a bye, and they're healthy. They should finally get their 2-star wide receivers, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, back in their lineup, and I think that is huge. And also huge, they're playing the 1-4 Cleveland Browns, Michael, and my confidence in them, or to put it another way, my fear of them as far as picking against a team is going way down. Look, I knew they had problems on offense, but now it's their defense that's starting to get exposed. And from a future value perspective, if you're picking Philadelphia, it's okay. They only have one really good game, and you got to wait to week 14 when they host Carolina. I'm never waiting to the last game of the season because you never know what's going to happen. I kind of like this pick. I'm not saying yet if it's going to be my number 1 pick of the week, but I do like it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Just when I really liked Kevin Stefanski, Jim Schwartz at the defensive coordinator, I feel like really put this team in a spot where they could ride this strong defense and just kind of hand the ball off. And that just hasn't been the case. You pointed to it. Their defense has really been subpar. A couple injuries in there are contributing to that. But, number one factor that we're seeing all over the place is the quarterback play. Now, that being said, I have not been that impressed with Nick Sirianni and what he has going on in Philadelphia, other than how they've been riding Saquon Barkley. I think he's been huge for them this year. Jalen Hurts has not looked great. a bye was just what they needed, and Cleveland going on the road 2 weeks in a row is also what they need. And so I understand why this is the highest spread of the week. I don't know if Philadelphia is going to beat many teams by double digits, but this would be a week where they could potentially do that. But hey, man, with what's been going on in the NFL, I don't want to predict any game scores.
All right. So Houston, touchdown favorite at New England.
Yeah, so Houston looked pretty impressive this week with a win over the Bills, although they let the Bills back into that game. Their defense really was a big part of what was going on there, especially with Nico Collins going out. Not 100% sure whether he's going to be able to play this week, which would, I think, be a pretty big deal for them. Again, nice win over the Bills with that last minute kick. What a kicker that they have. And going up against a New England team that couldn't even take care of the hapless Miami Dolphins right now, 10 points. Okay, against, we'll say, maybe a somewhat strong Miami defense, and should be a stronger, defense really with Houston being able to put up more points. Like this game, haven't really seen much out of the New England Patriots since week 1. When they surprised the Bengals. Their running back had a little bit of a case of the fumbles, Ramondre Stevenson, but they rode him pretty strong this week. He almost kept him in the game against the Dolphins. This game is in New England, but the weather shouldn't be a factor. I think I feel pretty good about Houston in this game. How do you feel?
Well, I saw a lot of that Miami and New England game that you referenced, and I've been to convents and seen more scoring. Those two offenses are so bad, and relevancy right now is New England, but I'm not giving New England's defense a whole lot of credit against such a bad Miami offense. Look, Nico Collins at first was listed as day-to-day. Now they've downgraded him to week-to-week. So I don't think he's going to play. Man, if Nico Collins was playing, and probably they won't have Joe Mixon again. We'll have to look. But if Mixon and Collins is out, this goes from probably would have been my favorite game to a game I'm less comfortable with, because I think Collins is so important to that offense. Looking at it from a future value perspective with Houston, because you got to pick Houston. Houston is definitely a good team that you're going to pick in Survivor. Got to wait to week 12 when they host Tennessee to get a game as good as this. And if you've used Kansas City, Houston is by far the best game projected for that particular week. So I like Houston, but I'm just a little nervous about the effect of their injuries.
I hear you.
All right. So the third game is Baltimore, 6.5-point favorites against Washington. I realize that their opposition had a good game last week. But Michael, why don't you just pick the team with the better record and who has the QB that's playing better this year? But I'm not picking Washington for Survivor this week. Look, this Washington Commander team, 4-1. They've won 4 straight. Who have they beaten? The New York Giants, Cincinnati, Arizona, and the aforementioned Cleveland Browns. But look, I am fully able to proclaim that this offense is for real, and Jaden Daniels is for real. But it's that defense. Again, was it Cleveland's horrible offense, maybe, that really impressed me last week, because I've been ripping their defense all season. This is no longer a team I want to pick against. And the Ravens, yes, they pulled out barely in overtime their win over Cincinnati. They're not as impressive as I thought they would be this year, because I had them potentially, competing with Kansas City to go to the Super Bowl. I don't even know, anyway. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I am with you completely. And, hey, you had to think with Dan Quinn at the helm of the Commanders that they would figure out their defense, him being such a defensive-minded coach. And so, you're right. That has kind of been figured out. Hey, a couple weeks ago, the Ravens, a heavy favorite, lost at home against the Raiders. So, yeah, they're at home, but I'm not sure it's a haven for them right now. They they figured it out, although they really should have lost that game against the Bengals. Nice for those of you who who have the Ravens kicker to have him Justin Tucker on your fantasy squad. That's not what you want to be doing against teams as good as the Commanders. I'm going nowhere near this game.
All right. Well, like you, I'm out too. So there will be no Shark Tank offers for Baltimore and Survivor. All right. Atlanta. Wow, what a game that was last week. They are 6-point favorites at Carolina. Thoughts?
Gosh, man, Kirk Cousins looked phenomenal. He was hitting all of his targets between Drake London, Darnell Mooney, and even Pitts, and the running back out of the backfield. I mean, he was operating on all cylinders. And yes, their defense allowed Tampa Bay in that game, but that game could have been more out of hand than it was. Tampa Bay a couple of times this season, we saw it with Detroit as well, has been able to stick around even without performing as well. I'm pretty impressed with Raheem Morris. I think he's looking pretty good, and how he's running this Falcons team. And, Carolina still has not really been able to get business done, even with the change, but they're staying in games, right? The change that they made to Andy Dalton was huge. This is a division game. The game's in Carolina. I'm still a little bit nervous, especially with Tampa Bay Atlanta coming off a big win. Although you got to be, appreciative that they had a little bit of the mini bye week because their game was this last Thursday. I think there is an advantage that comes from that. So I like this game more than I liked that Baltimore-Washington game. How about you?
Yeah, like you said, coming off that mini bye, and man, who'd have thought Kirk Cousins 500 passing yards, and look who he faces this week. The team, Carolina Panthers, who's given up the most points of anyone in the NFL. So I do like this game. Yes, I do think their offense works better with Andy Dalton, but I'm starting to think that this Atlanta Falcons, although far from a strong team, is a decent team. And
And look what the Bears with their with their new quarterback were able to do against that Panthers pass defense, even right with Kirk Cousins is definitely an upgrade from Williams.
All right. So the last game is Green Bay's at home, 5 points over Arizona. So Arizona, Jekyll and Hyde this year between their wins and losses, but they're a team that does scare me, right? And yes, they're playing in Green Bay, but weather's not going to be a factor. This is in this game. It's not like it's going to be really cold weather. So this is a game that I'll just outright say that it's hard for me to feel the love. Let's suppose in putting all my faith in Green Bay. It's one of the reasons I picked them last week, because I didn't like their future value. So I get it. If you're higher on this game than I am, they don't have a ton of future value after this. So go for it. But I don't see this as a game that I have a lot of confidence in Green Bay.
Yeah, I mean, look at the Cardinals were able to do go into San Francisco, eke out a win. They have talent, gives them a chance to stay in games, and that's what you want to try and avoid in Survivor.
All right. So it is time for us to make our picks. But before we do that, Michael, we have a little announcement to let people know. So what we always try to do at FFC is give you the best possible content of what you are interested in. We have had NFL Survivor as part of our regular content since our exception, except for 1 year. And because of the absolute carnage in NFL Survivor this year, that our views are gone down, we can see that there is less of an appetite for NFL Survivor. I do know that some of you still really love it, and we hear you and we understand you. And we will continue to do NFL DFS coverage. And to the extent that you have comments or questions about NFL Survivor, you always can put that in the comment section of our NFL DFS show. But this will free us up to do some more other types of shows that we think that our audience that has liked NFL Survivor, who just likes talking about the NFL and not so much fantasy, will enjoy. So anything you want to add to that, Mike?
No, that's well said.
Yeah, so there's some really exciting things that we have planned for you guys. So stay tuned over not so much next week because I will be traveling. We still will have an NFL DFS show, but no extra show. But starting after that, we're going to come up with some other content that we think that you will enjoy. So stay tuned. We're excited to unveil that over the next couple of weeks. All right. So back to our NFL Survivor. And I do not want to go out with a loss. I want all three of these teams to come through. I will put my gold medal pick, the number one pick, that if I had everyone on the board, who would I go with? It would be the Philadelphia Eagles. How about you?
Exactly. No, it's exactly where I would go. Again, coming off a much needed bye week and against this Cleveland team that needs a bye.
And your silver medal pick?
My silver medal pick, would be that New England game. So I don't love it, but Houston looks good, even with the injuries that they looks like they're going to be dealing with. They're going up against a New England team that is not very sharp. But part of that is because of who I'm afraid of this week.
Yeah, there's a big drop, right? For me, if I had Philadelphia, I would strongly pick that. But if you don't have Philadelphia, you're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to save Philadelphia. My next pick, only due to the Nico Collins. If I'm wrong and Collins is playing, I'll amend it, but I'm almost certain he's going to be out. I would go Atlanta over Carolina as my silver medal pick, mostly because of that. It really saw that Atlanta offense wake up, and they're going to face an even weaker defense in Carolina. And then my silver medal pick is the aforementioned Houston Texans at New England.
Yeah, and I think you made your bronze, and my bronze would be the Atlanta game as well. And so it looks like we've got them flipped. I'd say they're both pretty close, but actually quite ahead of, for me, those other two picks. I think that I don't really want to touch those other two games, the Baltimore game or the Green Bay game.
And chalk it up to a little bit of respect that I give to Washington and Arizona. All right. Well, as always, we want to hear from you guys. So if you haven't yet, make sure you smash that like button, share your comments in the comment section for your Survivor takes, and hit that red subscriber button. Until next week, take care, everybody, and have a great football Sunday.
Enjoy. Bye-bye.